Hey guys, welcome to today's Vehicle Visionary. Today we're going to take a look at this used G Wagon, or the G Class, and just a little bit of history for you on this particular vehicle. The Shah of Iran, who at the time was one of the larger shareholders in Mercedes, in 1979 recommended that basically the G Class, what became the G Class, would be created as a military vehicle by Mercedes-Benz. And there was also a civilian version offered. This is an AMG model, and I'm going to tell you what, when we open the hood in just a little bit, you're going to find out that the power under the hood of this thing is quite impressive. Just want to give you a quick little look around here. Of course, some of the unique features here you're going to find. It is a very boxy vehicle. It sets itself apart compared to some of the more sleek vehicles of the day. And I don't say that because that's a bad thing. If you're looking for something that's you're not going to see a whole lot of on the road, this might be a good item for you to consider. Then, of course, as you can see, the exhaust comes out under the rear doors, as you can see right there on both sides. And this thing has quite an impressive sound to it as well. So let's open the hood real quick. I like the fact that the hood latch is very easy to get to. Of course, as we look at the interior just real quick, genuine leather. Of course, we'll take a closer look at that. You've got the aluminum race style pedals. And I'll tell you what, when you drop the hammer on this G Wagon, you can really feel the torque. It plants you back in the seat. Now, I like the fact that the hood opens very, very high. It has a very large opening instead of being down here where a lot of vehicles would normally have it. And here is the 5.5 liter twin turbocharged V8. And I'm putting the numbers on the screen, 562 horsepower. And like I said, this is a very torquey vehicle. Lots of power, lots of torque, lots of fun when it comes to the acceleration and performance. And then, of course, as we work our way around, you have the 20-inch alloy wheels. And it is a used model, but of course you can see some of the nice features that it originally came with. You've got the red brake calipers. And this color, while the Mercedes-Benz colors often have kind of an interesting name to them, it's just silver, at least according to what was on the website. And as we look at the rear, here's something I like. When you get vehicles that are built in other countries, a lot of the time, the rear doors, when they're not a lift gate, will open in the wrong direction, at least for those of us who live here in America. But on this particular model, that's not true. So if you were parked next to the curb in a loading zone or something like that, it opens to the left from the right, which is very, very nice. Here's your rear cargo area. These 60-40 split rear seats do fold flat, so you can maximize your cargo area that way. You also have a cargo cover that you can bring back and put in place if you want to. And of course, you've got a power outlet right here if you wish to take advantage of that for whatever reason. And a little bit of storage space right there. And the door's not ultra heavy, even though it's got the big spare tire, the full-size spare tire here on the rear. Some of the doors on vehicles like this that you have to open out like that instead of having a power lift gate, or at least an assisted lift gate, they're a lot easier, or harder to open, I should say. They're really heavy, but this one seems to open rather easily. Now let's open the rear and take a look at the back seat. And as you can see, you've got the leather, you've got a very nice looking interior here. Of course, this is a very high-end vehicle. One thing I noticed, it does have grab handles, but they're up here on the ceiling as opposed to right here. Not necessarily a bad thing, just something that you might want to be aware of. And hopefully we're getting a good view here. Dual air conditioning vents, you've got some cup holders. You've got another, that's actually a 12-volt power outlet. I will take a picture of that so that you can see it really well, since it's a little bit harder to give you the best view with the GoPro. But as you can see, there is a good bit of space back here. I've got the seat, where I'm in my driving position, and you can kind of see where my legs are, I believe, on the screen. And that's what this is for. That's why the seats are built the way they are. That's meant to give extra space. You can see it better right here. That's what those indentions basically are right there. And of course, as you can see, there is Alcantara on the roof of the vehicle. So that's a very nice, luxurious feature. I've heard a lot of people talk about how difficult these G-Wagons are to get in and out of. I can't really say that was terribly difficult for me, at least not personally. Other people might have varying opinions about that. Now, as you can see, these seats are very nice, genuine leather, like the pattern and design here. There's your oh crap handle, if you want to put it that way. In this vehicle, that might actually be needed because it really pins you back in the seat when you step on it. Probably a bit of a surprise to a lot of people. It looks like there's not a lot of space in there, but when you reach back, you do have a little bit of space in there. If you take the owner's manual out, you not only have that owner's manual, you also have one on the infotainment screen built in as well. Get a little look here on the passenger side door. As you can see on the driver and passenger side, you've got memory seats. Of course, you know, the classic Mercedes-Benz seat adjustments, but there's more to it than that. And I'm going to show you a little bit more about this later on, but that's what all of these are for right here. You can adjust lumbar support, and actually this little one right here allows you to change the positioning of the bolstering. You can move it in or out to hug your body better, or maybe if you don't want that to be as close, maybe you're more comfortable without the bolstering being so tight. And of course, that's going to depend on the situation, because I mean, as fast as this thing is, you might actually want to take it out and have a little fun with it, stepping on the pedal. In fact, I'll tell you what, before I do that, let me start this up real quick and let you hear it. As you can hear, it's not hurting for horsepower. And let me step back out real quick. You do have the AMG door sills right there. Of course, classic of these AMG models, quite a few nice luxurious features. Steering wheel mounted controls here. You can go through a lot of information on the dashboard and just typical things you would see here. I've got it set to the digital speedometer. You have the ability to answer and hang up on phone calls, control the radio, all that good stuff, voice commands, shifter paddles here on the steering wheel that are nice and responsive, I noticed while driving over. And of course, here is your infotainment screen, not a touch screen, wasn't in this particular model of vehicle, but you're just going to use the dial and the buttons down here on the center of the console to work your way around. I'll hit the back button so we can go back and just see everything basically. I'm kind of going backwards here, but you've got vehicle, phone, media, radio, and navigation. Basically everything you would expect. And when you get to where you want to be, you're just going to push down on the little dial right there to select what it is you want. And as you can see, you've got nice navigation right there. And here is your shifter. I will put that into drive. And then the park button is right there. Dual zone climate control, pretty much everything you would expect here. It does have the auto stop start feature, but you can turn that off. Just so you can see, there is the sunroof is open. Now, as you can see on the screen right here, that is your blind spot indicator. You've got a lot of different safety features here on the G-Wagon. Get my stuff out of here, show you a little bit about what's inside. Got USB ports and a little bit of storage space here. Also another power outlet there if you wish to use that for the front. So quite a bit of space here, quite a bit of storage, but I tell you what, I'm very impressed with how comfortable the interior of this model is. I am just going to change, I don't know if I can even show that to you really. Let's see here. I'll tell you what, I'm going to move those. You can see, I hope you can see on your screen, the bolstering moving in, and basically you can release that by moving the dials to the other side. So that's pretty much how that works. Very easy, very simple to use. There's a little look at the back seat from the driver's position. And I do like the fact that you have a nice large windshield here as well. And the steering itself is actually very tight. It's probably some of the tightest I've ever experienced in any kind of a, SUV of any sort. Very impressed with that. Let's get out on the road and do a test drive and see how this vehicle handles. Now, of course, you have a lot of different features and amenities as you would expect. I'll list a lot on the screen. And remember, guys, even though I don't take the time to cover every single little detail in these videos, you'll always find that there's a link in the description to the dealership's website so you can have a better look at what's going on. I'm going to tell you what, this thing is a torque monster. You can really feel the torque as you're driving down the road. Steering is nice and responsive. I mean, the steering is actually very much sports car-like. I'm very impressed with that. No problem with acceleration. Of course, this being the AMG model, that's what you're going to expect. But I'll tell you what, if you have passengers who aren't ready for that, it will probably surprise them. Now, that auto start stop feature is still on. You do have heated and cooled seats here in the front. You can control that here on the lower portion of the center of the dashboard right here if you want to. And of course, we're going to get on down the road here and see how we do. Let's just accelerate a little bit. I'm just kind of easing into the pedal, but as you can hear, the exhaust has quite a nice exhaust note to it, the exhaust sound. It does have a bit of a stiff ride to it. I don't know how well you can see that on the video, because I do like the fact that my GoPro does a great job of stabilizing the shot. But when I say it has a little bit of a stiff ride, it's just high performance. That's all it is. It's not uncomfortable. In fact, as often as I drive this particular road in a multitude of vehicles, it really tells me a lot about how a vehicle handles as far as the ride quality goes. Now, of course, you do have the adjustments you can make here on the dashboard like I showed you earlier. I've got the digital speedometer there in the center, but if you just want to use the analog tachometer on the right and speedometer on the left, of course, you can do that. Not a big deal. But I just like the fact that this G-Wagon has plenty of space, and if you put that headrest down, if it was moved down a little bit, it might make it a little bit easier to see into your blind spot there. But that's the advantage of the blind spot indicators in the side view mirrors that I mentioned earlier when I showed you all of the different safety features that are available in this vehicle. And I'm just kind of cruising down the road here. This thing is quite a lot of fun to drive. In fact, this is my first experience with a G-Wagon. I had one come blowing by me on the road one day when I was driving another Mercedes-Benz vehicle. Unfortunately, did not have the camera on when that happened. But as we take a little bit of a turn here, it gives me a little bit of an idea on the overall handling. Not having to give much input at all into the steering to go through that turn right there, that little corner, even though it wasn't a sharp corner by any means. Now, you're going to get a little bit of body roll and all that stuff here with the G-Wagon because it is going to have a little bit higher center of gravity, but it doesn't seem to be terribly bad. But I think the main thing that I look at here is that it's just such a unique vehicle. You don't see a lot of these on the road, and I've already shown you the screenshot from the dealership's website, but I'll put that back up on the screen right now so you can see the exact price of what they're asking for this model. And if I remember correctly, I think it has a little over 18,000 miles, or maybe, no, I think it's around 29,000 miles, which is not terribly bad. As I'm driving down the road, the accelerator is nice and responsive. That's always a plus. Give it a little bit of braking. The brakes work extremely well, but they're not overly aggressive. I always like driving a vehicle where the brake pedal pretty much follows the touch of your foot, so to speak. I hope you understand what I'm saying by that. So if you don't put a lot of pressure on it, you don't get an aggressive stopping. You know, basically the brakes don't work aggressively when you're trying to keep them from being aggressive. Some vehicles, you can always get used to it, but the thing about it is that sometimes the brake pedal and the brakes themselves are just overly aggressive. And basically what that means is that you really have to adjust, and the first few times you might accidentally brake check your passengers a little bit. You're not going to have that problem with this particular model, which of course obviously is for sale at Mercedes-Benz of Shreveport as of the time that I'm making this video. If you ever click on the link in the description of these videos and it just goes to an inventory of what they have at the dealership, well, obviously that means that the vehicle has been sold. But if you're looking for a nice G-Wagon to purchase, this is a really good one, I'd say. And you know, this is my first time to drive one, so I don't have much to compare it to, unfortunately. But if you have a G-Wagon, tell me about it. What are your experiences, whether it's an AMG model or not? Tell me what your experiences are. What do you like? What do you maybe not like? Just tell me what you think. I'd be very curious to know. Now, I'm going to drive down through here just cruising right around the speed limit because I just don't think this is something I need to throw into the turns too terribly hard. But we're going to see how it handles here going through this corner. This is not the sharpest corner on the road. Now, I'm having to give it a little bit more steering input right there, but not too bad. And as we drive over the bridge, of course, that gives me another bit of an idea on the ride quality. We're going to get over here and get around this cyclist real quick, which won't be hard at all. I don't know if I want to scare the cyclist by stepping on it, especially with the exhaust pointed at them. I try and be nice to people, guys. And if he had given a strange reaction or something like that, you couldn't have seen it anyway because I would have already been past him. So anyway, now we're going to get up here to my favorite corner to really test how a vehicle handles. Now I'm going to go through this corner at the speed limit, basically. A little bit around this speed limit. We'll see how it does. Actually, that's pretty impressive. The body roll is a lot more minimal than what I was personally expecting. And of course, acceleration, we've already seen that, but one more little hit. Boy, it doesn't take much. Just the torque of this motor in here, this is just unbelievable. Yeah, I would love to see what would happen if somebody took this exact motor and put it in a much lighter vehicle, which I'm sure for the year that this vehicle was manufactured, there are Mercedes-Benz vehicles out there that I'm sure that have that, and wow, does it push you back in the seat. So ultimately, I have to say, I'm pretty impressed with this G-Wagon. If I was looking for a vehicle like this, everything that I'm looking for personally is not a problem. The middle seat is a little bit on the small side, or the back seat I should say, is a little bit on the small side, but notice I said a little bit. I'm being really honest about that. At 5'10", I was actually quite comfortable back there. And even though I probably could move my driver's seat back a little bit further than where I have it right now, yeah, not a big deal. The interior itself is comfortable. I like the fact that you can adjust the bolstering on the seats. The steering is good and responsive, obviously great acceleration, and obviously you don't have to buy an AMG model, but if that's what you're looking for, this one will definitely do it for you. If you've enjoyed today's video, guys, please make sure to check out another video that is on the end screen right now. I'd like to thank my friends at Mercedes-Benz of Shreveport for loaning me this model for the day, and all of you for being kind enough to take the time to watch. I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Have a great day, guys.